Hello everyone, how you all doing? Hope you're all okay. This is so weird because I'm actually filming this on the penultimate day of May, but this won't go out in the middle of July. So I probably won't have red hair anymore. And although I don't want to jinx it, hopefully the weather will be just as good. Who knows? I might now have just set us in for rain for the whole of July. I apologise if that's the case. So I've got another fantastic guest. Up next is the actor and director, the lovely Gareth Bale. I hope you enjoy. Take a look.
Fantastic. So my first question for you is, where does your love of theatre come from?
That is a good question. Love of theatre. I guess just over the years, really, sort of developed it. I can't say that it was from school days or anything like that. Sort of enjoyed it. I did drama and what have you, but the first time I thought, oh yeah, this is for me, this is the environment for me, I guess, would have been the National Youth Theatre of Wales, which I did in 1998. We were in Brecon for a month, and that was fabulous. And then from there, I joined, I was lucky enough to get into the West Glamorgan Youth Theatre. So I sort of did it the wrong way round. I should have done West Glam and then National, but I went to West Glam after that because I think I had the taste from the National, and I thought, oh, I want a bit more of this. So I went to the West Glam Youth Theatre and absolutely loved it. Can't speak highly enough of that youth theatre group. Yeah, they were terrific, and it's a family there, and I'm still in touch with a lot of people from those days. Got a lot of friends from there. So yeah, I guess it would have started there, and then it's just developed. You know, you never know what you're going to be asked to do. You never know where your career is going to go. As it happens for me, I've been quite lucky. So I've managed to do a bit of Shakespeare, and in more recent years, some comedy and panto, and I just, yeah, love it.
Amazing. And tell us about the journey to becoming an actor then.
Okay, so I started off wanting to be a rugby player. Well, I guess I didn't start off like that. Nobody starts off like that, do they? But that's what I sort of wanted to be throughout my teens. That was the dream, was to be a first class rugby player, because it was first class then, because the game wasn't professional. That's an indication of how old I'm getting. So the idea for me was to teach. I was going to teach sport. So I could train on a Tuesday and a Thursday night and then play for Neath, because I wanted to play for Neath on a Saturday, and obviously play for Wales. And then it didn't happen. And I remember there was 1 month when I must have been 17, and it was January. So January 97, 98. It was 98. And I auditioned for the National Youth Theatre of Wales. I was invited to audition for that, and I was offered a part a few days later, and I didn't really know what I was doing, if I'm totally honest. And I remember at the same time, I had a trial for the Swansea Valley, so the county rugby team. And I remember thinking that I played out of my skin. You know, I wasn't the best rugby player, but I remember having a really good game, set up a try, made a nice run, tackled my heart out. And I played on the wing. And when the squad was announced, there were 4 wingers, and 3 of those wingers weren't even at the trial. And I thought, oh, well, yeah, they were better wingers than me, fair enough. But for them not to even been at the trial, so you felt as though you put all that effort in,
Yeah.
and then you get nowhere. And I thought, someone's trying to tell me something here. And I wasn't good enough as a rugby player. I simply wasn't. You don't realise it at the time, but you look back and you go, yeah, no, I really wasn't good enough. I was decent, but I was never good enough to get to where I wanted to get to. And there's a brilliant line in With Neil and I, the film With Neil and I, and it's Richard Griffiths as Monty. And I'm going to be paraphrasing, but he basically says that it's a crushing moment in a young actor's career when they wake up one morning and quite sensibly say to themselves, I will never play the Dane, so I'll never play Hamlet. And it is crushing, you know, and that was my crushing moment, thinking, do you know what? I'm not good enough to play for Wales. I'm never going to get there. And sort of from there, the acting took over. As I say, I did the National Youth Theatre of Wales, went into West Glam. And while I was at the National Youth Theatre of Wales, the director there was Jamie Garvin, who was is a lecturer at the Welsh College of Music and Drama. And he said, you should audition for drama school. And I did, and I didn't really know what I was doing. I'd honestly never heard of RADA and Guildhall up until this point, let alone the Welsh College of Music and Drama, which is now up there and flying. And I went along and I auditioned, and I got in, luckily. And I did not know what I was letting myself in for. I turned up on the first day, and I saw this timetable with 40 hours a week or whatever it was. And I'm phoning my friends in Bangor and Aberystwyth who are doing 12 hours a week or 16 hours a week. And I'm thinking, what am I doing here? But I loved it. We were 20 in the year. That soon went down to 18. We had 2 dropouts in the first term, I think. Certainly the first year. And that meant that you had a lot of attention, So they really put you through your paces. But, movement, vocal skills, singing, Alexander technique, stage combat, as well as all the projects. And I really loved it, and I sort of haven't looked back from there.
Amazing. So talk us through your career. What was your first job? Can you remember your first job, and where have you gone from there?
Yeah, I do remember my first job, because it was with Terry Hands at Theatre Clwyd. So I was in Romeo and Juliet playing Samson, so I got to bite my thumb, and a couple of other parts, but it was such a joy. I remember the whole thing. I remember the audition, being so nervous to audition for Terry Hands, and I thought I'd made a big mistake because, as a young actor, you're taught to get a Shakespeare piece that really suits you and who you are at that time. And I'd been working on one and I wasn't happy with it. So I went back to a tried and tested speech, which is Hamlet, or what a rogue and peasant slave am I. And I did that for Terry, and I thought, he's going to rip me apart here because, he directed Hamlet so many times, he knew it inside out. And he didn't. He was very kind, very generous. And then, offered me the job in Theatre Clwyd, and it was just a joy to sit and listen to him and watch him in rehearsals and go through all the sonnet classes that he did as well. He really cared for his actors and he cared about his work. And it's so sad, of course, that earlier this year we lost Terry. And he was a giant of world theatre, and we were very lucky to have him in Clwyd for 16 years. I think he was the artistic director, maybe a little longer. But yeah, that was my first job, and yeah, it was a terrific introduction. Great to do Shakespeare as my first job as well. And from there, I've had the ups and downs. But as I said earlier on, I've done a fair bit of Shakespeare, managed to play Hamlet for Michael Bogdanov, which would definitely be a career highlight. That was in the Welsh language. And through a sequence of events, I ended up coming quite late to that part, so I had to learn it in a short space of time. So Hamlet would be up there. And yeah, I've done a bit of telly and film as well. And comedy, I'd say stage is probably where I've worked the most, definitely, actually.
And talk us through the differences or the similarities between stage acting and acting for screen. Where is the crossover? How do you feel it's different when you're doing either or?
Well, there's a wonderful masterclass by Michael Caine on, I think it's on YouTube. You can still get it on YouTube, about acting for the camera, and I would advise any actor, especially young actors, to check that out, and his advice about where to look, how to stand, how to be big but small, how to do convey what you're thinking, just with a gesture or a movement of the eyes and things like that. So yeah, check that out. Obviously on stage, it depends where you are. You can play 60-seat theatres. You can be in the Hollywood Fringe Festival, I was going to say, which you can be, which I was going to be this year if it wasn't for this, or the Edinburgh Fringe. And you can be in a little box, which allows you to be more intimate and smaller with your performance, or you can be in a huge auditorium where you really have to fill it. So it doesn't just change from theatre to film or stage to film and television. It can change in those themselves, you know, in the theatre world. That was especially the case when I performed Grav. I've done castles and churches and really small spaces, and then I performed the 100th performance was in the Lyric in Carmarthen, you know, to 500 people. So your performance has to change. You have to match the auditorium, I guess. And the other main difference for actors in television and stage or theatre work is that the TV and film actors get pampered. They absolutely get pampered. You get picked up, you get all the breaks. You watch the crew. The crew are there before you, they're there after you. They don't have a scene off. The actors, as soon as they're told they can go away, they scuttle away to their phones and eat biscuits and drink coffee and do a crossword. No such luck in the theatre. But yeah, I guess the other thing nowadays that I've noticed as well is that when it comes to TV and film, you have to be on the ball. You have to do your own work and your own research, and you have to come with an idea of your character because there's very little time to rehearse. And that's right across the board now. You get a little bit more time, I guess, the more money you have and the longer you've got on film and TV, but it is very, very quick nowadays. So you really have to arrive knowing your stuff.
It's interesting because obviously, you know, lots of people that watch this are just in theatre. So it's nice for them to hear like a little insight of what it's like to be for the differences that you face. Like you say as well, there's no audience, so you can't play the gags. You can't, you know, you've got to trust in what you're doing and what they're telling you to do. Whereas you're on stage, a lot of, you know, what you've rehearsed, I guess, not goes out the window, but you know, you can play on it a little bit more, can't you? If you know you're getting good reception from the audience, they're really giving it to you, or playing the audience, maybe they're not, you know, they're not quite getting the gag, or they're just a little bit dry, more of a dry audience, or a little bit more of a fussy audience. Whereas when you've just got that camera, that gives you nothing back.
Well, that's true. And there's another brilliant bit in the Michael Caine masterclass about that and how to use the camera and who the camera is to you. So there are tricks that you can do and what you need to be thinking about, and you have to be very aware of where the camera is the whole time. And you need to ask, you know, whether it is an extreme close-up, whether you are just looking at here, or whether, you know, it's full length, or whether it's a two-shot. You need to know those things, and don't be frightened to ask, because it will affect your performance. And yeah, it's you have to come, as I say, you have to be on the ball. And the real shame I find is that there's no room for almost learning. You're learning on the job all the time, and you'll do something. If you're lucky enough to get a filming job which lasts about 12 weeks, you'll do something in week 10 and think, oh, why couldn't I have known that in week 2? You know, and you have to try and remember it. I mean, I was lucky enough to do a big job for S4C, Boom Cymru last year. And was it last year? No, it was the year before. And I haven't done any filming since. So you get to the end of that job, and it was a 12-week job. It was wonderful, and you think you've taken on a lot of information and learned a lot of stuff. And of course, what you want to do is put that into practice straight away. Then again, especially for someone who has trained mainly through theatre, who's come through that sort of stage school, if you like. Because certainly when I was in Welsh College, there wasn't as much emphasis on TV and camera. I think they do a lot more of that now, and you really need it. It's a completely different skill.
You talked earlier a little bit about the different venues that you've performed at. Can you pinpoint any favourites that you've got?
Okay, you might have to cut this answer down because there are going to be a few. I mean, the first one I have to say is Pontardawyr Arts Centre. I don't have to say it, I want to say it. Pontardawyr Arts Centre, because that's my home theatre. And to use a sporting analogy then, every time I play there, it's like playing a home match. I get terrific support from family and friends, And it's not just the building itself, although the stage and the auditorium is beautiful. It's a lovely theatre. But also the people that work there, they really go out of their way to make you feel welcome. And so Pontardawe Art Centre is right up there, and I've had some wonderful nights there. Also in the local area, I have to say the Grand Theatre in Swansea. I mean, I went to the Grand. I wasn't that into theatre as a youngster, but I do remember going to the Grand, and one of my big heroes was Ryan Davies of Ryan and Ronnie, and Ryan was probably the most versatile and talented performer we've ever had in Wales, and died tragically young at 40 in America. So he performed on that stage in some very, very famous pantomimes that would run to March, and so to be on that stage then years later, that's where I had my first performance of Hamlet in Welsh for Michael Bogdanov. That was, I've got goosebumps now thinking about it, walking out onto that grand stage. Such a famous place, and you think of all the greats that have stood there as well. That does give me it's a bit of a romantic notion, I guess, but it does give me goose pimples. So the Grand would be another one. As I say, I've been lucky enough to perform all over the place. I love the Edinburgh Fringe, or the Edinburgh Festival Fringe, performing there, sometimes in a broom cupboard, but it is what it is. I'll always remember New York and performing in New York. That was a dream for me. I can genuinely say that was a dream come true for me. I've known for a long time that I'm not going to be a film star. I'm not going to be James Bond, which I've said before, imagine me as James Bond, shaken or stirred, as it comes. So that's not going to happen. So performing in New York was high on my list, and you never know if that's going to happen. So to perform Grav there in the Actors Studio Theatre, that'll always stay with me. But hand on heart, if there was one theatre that I had, say, my last performance in, if I could choose where it was, or if there was one theatre that I had to work in for the rest of my life, it would be the Torch Theatre in Milford Haven. I adore that building, and again, it's about the people the people make it. Yes, I love the auditorium. It's great there in the studio as well, because that's where the first performance of Grav was. So, that's very close to my heart as well. But as I say, it's the people. And ever since I've gone down there to perform, which I think my first performance working for the Torch was in 2006, you just get this terrific welcome. Everyone in that building takes an immense amount of pride in the work that's put on there. So you can talk to anyone in any department, and they will want to know how you're doing. They want to know how you're finding Pembrokeshire. They want to know what you think of the play you're working on. They want to know how the lines are coming, and it is very, very genuine. And that comes from someone like Peter Doran, who is a friend of mine, but also great leadership. We don't have great leadership in this country at the moment. I think we can all agree on that. And what he does is basically, almost a follow me. This is how we behave in this theatre. This is how we welcome people. And it just filters throughout the whole building, So, it would be the Torch, I have to say. I absolutely adore that building and the people in it.
That's lovely. That's really nice, because we're such a small corner of the world here. I mean, I've been so lucky to speak to so many different people over the past couple of months, people in America, and nobody knows where Wales is, Everyone's like, where is it? So, you don't know where Wales is. Nobody knows where Pembrokeshire is. So it's so nice when people say, oh, I love coming to Pembrokeshire. I love, I love the people. I love, the theatre that we've got. It's a lovely, lovely place, and people just don't know about it.
No, which in a way is great. I mean, not for getting audiences in, but I mean, the Torch is well supported anyway. But it's the whole package for me with Pembrokeshire, and it is somewhere I can see myself living in the future. No problem. But you just I feel when I drive down there that there's a weight that's lifted when I leave the city, I guess. There's something about the air down there. There's something quite rugged and magical about Pembrokeshire anyway. So it's the combination of things. I love getting lost in Pembrokeshire. If I've got a day off, I will just drive the car, no map, no sat-nav, and I will get lost deliberately, and you just find some hidden gems. And, the coastline there is just stunning. I mean, you're not going to get anywhere better in the world, are you, really? I mean, we could do with a bit of weather. Well, the weather at the moment is terrific, and it's a tragedy that we can't go to these beaches. But yeah, they're just fantastic,
Is there someone that you'd love to perform with, or someone that you'd like to watch perform live?
That is a great question, isn't it? I mean, I've been lucky enough to see the man I consider to be the stage actor, certainly of our generation, 3 times, and that's Mark Rylance. I saw him on Broadway 2-3 years ago in Farinelli and the King, which wasn't great, but he was mesmerising. I saw him in Bowing Bowing, which was incredible, and I then played the same part as him, and he played it Welsh in London, in the Comedy Theatre in London, and I thought, what's going on here with the Welsh? And he was spot on, absolutely spot on, and took it to Broadway. I don't think he played in Welsh on Broadway, mind, but he was just genius. So I thought, I'm having that, so I did in Welsh as well, as if I could have done anything else. And then I saw him in Jerusalem, and that just is the best thing I've ever seen. What a performance. Which is coming back next year, God willing. So yeah, I would advise anyone, beg, borrow, steal, buy a ticket, get to see that show, go and watch his performance in that, because he is mesmerising. So Mark Rylance, yeah, a pleasure to watch. Yeah, it'd be an honour to work with him, but we'll see. And then, yeah, I mean, if you're talking dream world, who's out there at the moment? There's some brilliant performers. As a Welshman, I'd have to say Hopkins, who I think is certainly the greatest screen actor of all time. Yeah, he just has terrific elegance, doesn't he? And poise.
Yeah, his presence.
Yeah, exactly. A presence and just an aura about him. And I just believe every word he says, whatever he's playing, whatever film it is, I believe every single word that man says. So you can't ask for more of an actor.
So let's talk about, you actually mentioned the show just now, but Grav was a big thing for you, right? It was obviously based on the life of Ray Gravel, the Welsh international rugby star everybody knows of. If you could do another show based on someone's life, who would you choose, and why would you choose them?
Well, I have. I was very, very lucky to be offered the role of Aneurin Bevan, so another Welsh hero. So I played Nai and Jenny, and Jenny Lee was played by Louise Collins, another person, another great actress. And it was a joy to work with her. So, Nai Bevan, what an honour that was. You mentioned 2 of them there, Ray Gravel and Nai Bevan, 2 Welsh heroes for very different reasons. But yeah, that was a real pleasure. Anyone else? I've always fancied playing a boxer. I don't know why. I think it's probably the training that fascinates me. Not that I am a boxer. I've never been in a boxing ring in my life. I've never been in a boxing gym in my life, but I just think, oh yeah, and they're fascinating stories very often, boxers. The Matchstick Man, Johnny Owen from Merthyr, my God, how there hasn't been a film of him or his life, or a stage production for that matter. I mean, I couldn't play Johnny Owen. He was the Matchstick Man, and they called him the Matchstick Man for a reason. I think he was about 9 stone. So I couldn't play him. I don't look like him or anything like that, but there are some others, Jimmy Wilde and Tommy Farr and people like this. I've always been fascinated by that life and the dedication, I guess. And also pirates. I read a wonderful book a few years ago about Bartholomew Roberts, the Welsh pirate from Little Newport, which is not far from you in Pembrokeshire, I would imagine. So yeah, a really, really interesting story, and completely goes against the pirate stereotype. Right. Yeah, which fascinates me. And he was, forget the rest, forget Captain Jack Sparrow, for instance, or the real ones, Edward Teach and the like. Just forget about them. Bartholomew Roberts was the king of the Caribbean. He managed to stop 400 ships in 2 years. He brought trading in the Caribbean to a standstill. A really, really interesting character and a very, very clever man. Obviously, a very clever man. So, yeah, if you get a chance to read it, it's a book by Richard Sanders, and it's called If a Pirate I Must Be, because he didn't want to be a pirate, let alone pirate captain. But yeah, read that. So I'd love to play him if I ever got the chance.
And do you have a favourite pastime, something that you just love to do if you could, you know, you had a day off? Because, I mean, we haven't had a day off, right? If you could have a day off doing whatever you wanted, what would it be?
Do you know what? I really like socializing, which I guess is another way of I really like having a drink. But yeah, I just enjoy being with friends and family and being out and yeah, just having a great time. And I'm really missing that. I'm missing being with friends. I love sport. So, you know, going to the pub or going to watch live sport, going to watch the cricket or football or rugby. You know, I'm an Ospreys season ticket holder. I'm often down in Sophia Gardens to watch Glamorgan play cricket. Love watching Wales play football. I'm a Liverpool fan as well. So yeah, just love my sport and really enjoy being with people. And I am missing that. Saying that, I would equally be as comfortable walking for hours and hours and hours on end in Pembrokeshire, in the Gower, for instance. Yeah, just out with a book and yeah, as long as it's a nice sunny day as it is today, just walking on a beach somewhere or in some woodland, that would equally be, you know, as satisfying.
Yeah, with your dog.
Yeah, with Wally. Yeah, that'd be terrific.
Yeah, lush. And what for you is the weirdest food combination, either that you like or that other people eat and you're like, why on earth would you eat that?
I've never really got the pineapple on pizza thing. Don't really understand that. You hang your head in shame. Yeah. I don't know what else. I really enjoy baking, and I did enjoy baking before this lockdown. I'm not one of these lockdown bakers.
Yeah.
So I guess what I find weird would be, and I'm intrigued by beetroot cake, because I've made carrot cake. It's my go-to cake, I think. So beetroot cake, which I think I have to have a go at, because I'm told it's wonderful.
Yeah, it sounds gross, but I mean, it's good. It's a winner.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And also, do you like banana and cheese? Such a good combination.
No, I'd never put them together, see. Never put them together. Banana, cheese. Oh, okay. So I'd have banana on toast and cheese on toast, but I'd never put them on toast together. But maybe I should.
You should.
Maybe I should. I'd give that a shot.
It is, honestly, yeah, everybody always looks at me weird. I remember when I was at drama school, for a quick snack, good banana and cheese sandwich, and everyone would be like, you're filth. That is disgusting. What are you doing? And I was like, don't knock it until you try it.
Well, that's true. That is true. Yeah. Yeah, I'm a big fan of ice cream as well. I love a Joe's ice cream, because everything else is just ice cream. So, you know, I'd have a Joe's ice cream. And what I can never understand when I'm there is why anyone would go for anything other than the vanilla. I can't get that. Okay. Any other ice cream, fair enough. You know, if you're in Italy or something, you get those massive tubs in front of you and you get to pick and choose whatever, fair enough. But Joe's ice cream, why aren't you just going for vanilla?
Because that's the best.
It is the best. Yeah, the best vanilla ice cream in the world.
I love it. That's amazing. And if you could do anything dangerous or like thrill seeking, what would it be? Or totally not dangerous and thrill seeking?
Well, there's a few friends I've got, when we go out for a drink, that's a bit dangerous and thrill seeking. So yeah, going out with some of those boys. Let's give you a proper answer though. I think if it was, you know, no money, no object, I think it would have to be something I'd either go up or down. So I'd either go to space for the day, woof, in a rocket, fantastic. Because I think, looking down at the Earth then, that would be incredible. Or down, by which I mean deep sea diving. Yeah, and I'd love to, it sounds a bit morbid, I guess, but I'd love to see some of the ships at the bottom of the ocean. So, I mean, imagine seeing the Titanic. I mean, there's something quite sad in that, though, because, you know, a lot of, obviously, hundreds of people died, thousands. You know, so that there is an element of respect that you have to have. But imagine seeing it as a piece of history, you know. Or I did speak a few years ago about possibly doing a documentary on the life of Bartholomew Roberts, and nothing came of it for now. But his ship has never been found. So imagine trying. I mean, I can't remember who did it. I think it's the UN actually estimate that there are 3 million shipwrecks on the bottom of the ocean floor. So you'd never find it. But imagine going down and trying to explore and the things that you would see anyway. So yeah, as I say, I'd either go to space, or I'd go deep sea diving. In one of those things, you know, and you know, I wouldn't just go myself, like, you know, snorkel. Here we go. Down he goes.
So many people who knew what they were doing.
Who knew what they were doing.
Yeah, definitely.
In one of those little bubble things, you know, like
Yeah.
they have in space. Do you remember the film In Space? Yeah. That.
So what's next for you after lockdown? What are you going to be doing? Have you got anything coming up, or?
No, is the short answer. Yeah, I had work pretty much throughout the year. I think it was looking good anyway. Certainly up to the end of August, and it's all been taken away. I mean, it's pretty devastating. There's nothing you can do. There's no use getting down about it. It is what it is, and you've just got to hope that next year will be a better year. Yeah, chin up and carry on. The show must go on.
Yeah.
I'm lucky that I'm staying creative at the moment. I've got a series called Isolationship, which is out there. It's written by Owen Thomas. Owen wrote Grav and loads of other things. You should just check out his Twitter feed and see what he's up to at the moment. He's just done a brilliant monologue for The Sherman. So yeah, we're doing Isolationship. So it's me and Owen and Gwen Llian Higginson, who is from North Pembrokeshire, and we work together. We've worked together a fair bit. Another, you know, brilliant person that I would like to share the stage with again before long. So we worked together earlier this year on a play that Owen wrote called West. We took that to. It premiered in Milwaukee last year as part of the North American Festival of Wales. And then we toured it around Wales earlier this year, went to London with it, and went to New York. So we're very lucky, actually, to be able to get that tour in before all of this kicked off. So, yeah, it was a lovely play. We were going to take it to the Hollywood Fringe Festival this summer, so that's one of the jobs that I've lost out on. But we'll go again, you know. Yeah. So Isolationship, it's on YouTube on our channel, Bale and Thomas. You can find it on my Twitter and things like this as well. So it's lovely. As I say, written by Owen, and then it's got me and Gwen Llian in it. And also working with RCT Theatres on a project as well, which I think it'll be a radio play. So that's something else that we're trying to put out there. So trying to stay creative.
Yeah.
But yeah, when this all ends, who knows where we'll be? Yeah, it's a bit uncertain. This industry is tough enough and uncertain enough at the best of times. So yeah, we've got to really look out for each other, I think, especially at the end of this, because there won't be jobs to go back to for a while. Certainly not in theatre. So yeah, let's really look out for each other.
Wow, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, take care, and best wishes anyway for whatever happens.
Yeah, thank you.
No worries.
And to you, all the best.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Huge thank you to Gareth. He was so great to chat to. Amazing to hear about all of his career highlights. Lots more guests still to come, and thank you so much for your kindness and your support. Take care. Bye.